I'm in love with a girl named Sue Ellen Silnitzer. Now, love does strange, wonderful things to a fella. It dazzles his mind. It fills his heart. It empties his wallet. Just look how falling in love changed me. The minute it happened, I started to treat my loved ones differently. My mother, my father, my good buddy Maynard.
Dope, good buddy, the way you treat me, it's awful.
Maynard had a point. I was so busy being in love that I simply didn't have time to remain the sweet, kindly, considerate fella I've grown to know and love. But I could never get so involved that I'd ignore Maynard, my dearest, truest, most faithful friend.
Dope, I'm in deep, terrible, horrible, rotten, fearful trouble, and if you don't help me, I'm going to throw myself headstrong off a bridge.
Good work, Maynard. I'm proud of you. Sue Ellen, my angel, who says we can't be married immediately? You see the terrible crimes that a fella can commit in the name of love? I ignored poor Maynard when he needed me most. And if you watch closely, you'll see how it got everybody into more hot water than a whole picnic of hard-boiled eggs. Remember in history how they taught you that Nero played the violin while Rome burned? Well, a violin isn't exactly my cup of tea, but I was making my own kind of beautiful music while Maynard was setting fire to my life. But here's what really bugs me. That whole carload of headaches could have been avoided if only somebody'd been willing to help him out.
Maynard, I am willing to help you out. Just show me which way you came in. I was just leaving. I came here to talk to Doe, but I know he ain't here because if he was, you'd be hollering at him.
Well, Dobie's very busy these days, you know. He's the second assistant editor of the school newspaper.
That's what I want to talk to him about. I'm taking this journalism class so I can be a writer for a newspaper, and I want to do good at it.
Naturally.
But I'm flunking.
Naturally.
Thank you, Mrs. G. Your confidence is indeed heartwarming.
Don't mention it.
But Mr. Pomper says if I write a story good enough to get printed in the school newspaper, he'll give me a passing grade.
And you want Dobie to help you. Well, I'm sure he will. He's a very cooperative boy.
No, that he is.
And you know how much he likes you, Maynard.
Because he is not too bright.
Oh, for joy, because if Dope helps me, he'll save me from a fate worse than death, namely work. Work! I'm going to go see Professor Pomfret right now and tell him I know I can write a real good story, because every day my English is getting more betterer and betterer.
True, Mr. Krabs. If you keep up that progress, you may soon reach the heights of illiteracy.
Gloriosity, you mean I got a chance to pass, Mr. P?
Yeah, that's right, Mr. K. Dean Magruder here has asked me to give you one last chance by letting you write this story.
You will try to do it right this time, won't you, Mr. Krebs?
Oh, yes, sir, Your Deanship, yes.
See, Krebs, it is important to the entire school that you pass this journalism course.
Yes, I'm very lovable.
You're very something, Mr. Krebs. Not only that, but if you fail one more course, you will set a state record for the greatest number of flunks in a single regulation-length semester. Now, this is hardly the kind of honor this institution is looking for. Need I remind you?
Oh, you needn't. Don't worry, I'll do my best. I'll put every ounce of my head into it.
That's what I was afraid of. Mr. Pomfret, I leave the matter in your hands. Courage, man.
Mr. Krabs.
Yes, Chief?
The newspaper writing that we study in this journalism class is very difficult. It's not a game for children or boneheads.
That lets me out two ways, but please, won't you help me anyhow?
Mr. Krabs, you are free to leave this office at any moment. You don't even have to ask permission. Well, I tried. Mr. Krabs, are you familiar with verbs and adjectives?
Like no.
Nouns?
Like no.
Adverbs?
Like no.
You still think you can write a good newspaper story?
Like no.
Like I rest my case?
Like bye.
Oh, no, Mr. Krabs, please. Yes, come back, Mr. Krabs. You do deserve another chance. I believe that. I really believe that. Forgive me. Sometimes I'm a bit hasty and thoughtless.
No, you ain't.
Yes, I am.
Yes, you are.
I should have quit when I was ahead.
You blew it, huh?
Maynard, at ease. Now, please, Mr. Krebs, if you really want to try to raise your journalism grade by writing a story for the school newspaper, I see no reason why you shouldn't give it a try.
Well, thank you, Your Professorship.
Of course, I also see no reason why you shouldn't flunk.
You're all heart, sir.
Yeah, how about that? But back to your problem. Now, try to pick a colorful subject, one that will interest the entire student body.
Yeah. Hey, how about if I wrote about the football team?
Yeah, well, no, Eddie Clyde's already taken that.
The basketball team?
Dan Grimble has that.
The music department?
That's also taken.
What's open?
The anthropology department.
I'm leaving.
Mr. Krebs.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Krebs, why do you give up so easily?
American know-how.
No, Mr. Krebs, you've got to hang in there, boy. Now, anthropology can be a fascinating subject.
You mean all them bones and skeletons and faucets?
That's fossils, and I'm not going to let you back down. Now, I have every expectation that you can do an outstanding job.
Me? Oh, come now.
And I know what I'm talking about.
You? Oh, come
Now,
now.
never mind that. You just get over there to Dr. Burkhart's office in anthropology, and I'm sure that she'll be happy to give you a lead on the interesting work that they're doing there.
Maybe if I find a real big story, it'll keep me from flunking, huh?
Yes.
A story everybody want to read.
Yes.
You don't really mean that, do you?
No.
Now, I don't want to cop out of getting blamed for what happened to Maynard. I mean, I want to, but I can't. Too many witnesses. But it's not 100% my fault. Take Dr. Burkhart, for instance.
Something fascinating going on in the anthropology department? Oh, come now.
Nothing, Dr. B?
Nothing, Mr. K. And, take off that silly eye shade. You look like you're ready to deal.
Hey, Dr. B, what about all these shields and, swords and shrunken heads? They look like they were left over from somebody's skull-cracking winged in.
Well, as a matter of fact, they were used in battles, but...
Like, wow, what a scoop. Right here in the anthropology department. I mean, who'd have thunk it?
Mr. Krebs.
I mean...
Mr. Krebs, what is it?
I scared myself.
There, you've been scaring the rest of us all semester.
Like, thank you.
Like you're welcome.
Like I'm dead.
Like true. So are the fellas who used those weapons for about 1,000 years.
So I ain't gonna get no story for the newspaper, and I gotta go out and face the hard, cruel world and vice versa. And believe me, that ain't gonna be easy for either of us.
Beneath that education-proof exterior, staying in school means a great deal to you, doesn't it?
Oh, yes, ma'am, sir. It's a matter of death and life.
Indeed.
Maybe both.
I do wish I could help you.
Well, then just don't stand there. Zoom off and get me a story.
Well, Mr. Krebs, I'm anxious to do what I can, but I must admit that writing about the anthropology department isn't as interesting as writing about, shall we say, the football team?
Like, true, but I ain't allowed to write about football. I gotta write about you and anthropology.
A pity.
Hey, I got it.
What?
Dr. B, you turn out for football.
Are you finished?
Boy, am I finished. No scoop, no story. I mean, it's like bye college, a low unemployment bill.
Mr. Krebs, I have an idea that may give you the kind of story you're looking for.
Yeah?
Of course. Why didn't I think of it before?
Yeah, what's the matter with you?
Mr. Krebs.
Like, oops, sorry. Fire when ready. I'm ready. Go, Wubba.
Now, get this straight. My anthropology class is going to study the native rituals of the Marquesas Islands. We start next Friday.
Gotcha. How do you spell that?
M-A-R...
No. Friday.
Mr. Krebs, please, just let me tell you what we're going to do.
Clue me.
I'm cluing. Now, instead of merely reading from books, the class will actually recreate a native tapua, a ritual ceremony. Isn't that fascinating?
That's the word, fascinating.
And the class and I will wear authentic costumes that I brought back from my last expedition to the islands. Oh, that's an exciting idea, wouldn't you say?
I ain't saying.
Now, Mr. Krebs, this is the real thing. Nothing phony.
Oh, boy.
What do you think?
I think you ought to go for football so I can write a real story.
We will perform ceremonial dances, not the T formation, and we will drop the subject immediately. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have work to do. Oh, stop standing there like a sick spaniel and go write your story.
Okay, I'll do my best, but I'm no optometrist about it.
You ain't no student of the English language, neither. But give it the old college try, Mr. Krebs. We're all behind you. Here's a photo album with pictures of a couple of my expeditions. Now, you might find something in here to help illustrate your article.
Hey, Dr. B, how about this one?
Oh, what do you want, Mr. K? I'm afraid all the pictures are pretty blah.
Blah ain't exactly the word. It's more like wow.
Mr. Krebs, this may turn out to be one of my more spectacular mistakes, but may one inquire what you are doing?
One may.
Thank you.
One is writing one story for one school newspaper.
One sees.
And one's making sure what one is writing is writ right, not writ rotten.
Mr. Krebs, you are a gem.
Yeah, I'm kind of cute.
True, but why are you sitting at that typewriter?
You gotta be kidding. Whoever heard a reporter not sitting in his typewriter when he's writing his hot flash?
But you're not typing.
Naturally, I don't know how to type.
But you're sitting there at the typewriter anyhow.
Naturally. Whoever heard of a reporter not sitting on his typewriter when he's writing his hot flash?
Mr. Krebs, may I make one statement?
One may.
I surrender.
Well, sooner or later, one always does.
How's your story coming?
Great.
Fine.
Beautiful.
Good.
I need help.
No, Mr. Krebs. Negative. Now, I am very anxious for you to write an outstanding story and get it printed in the school newspaper so I can give you a passing grade in journalism, but I can give you absolutely no help.
Okay, Mr. P, if those are the rules and you want to be mean and rotten. Mr. P?
What now?
How much absolutely no help you're going to give me?
All right, Mr. Krabs, read me the first sentence in your story. But that's positively as far as I'll go.
Next Friday, there will be a very nice and interesting demonstration in a nice and interesting classroom of a nice and interesting Dr.
Stop,
Einberg.
Mr. Krabs. Those are terrible words.
I got to wash out my mouth with soap?
No, I simply mean that they are flat and weak and colorless words. Now, when we're writing newspaper stories, we have to use strong, forceful phrases, not dreary words like nice. Take this downtown newspaper, for instance. Now, it may not be great literature, but it's brimming over with flavor and spark and excitement. That's why people read it. Take, for instance, this review of the movie that opened yesterday at the Bijou, 1001 Arabian Nights.
Ooh, I seen that picture. It's real nice.
There's that nothing word again, nice. Now, look at the words that they use in the paper to describe the picture. Wild, unbridled, pagan revel, raw, primitive, pleasure mad. Do you understand, Mr. Krabs?
Yeah. I got to go see that movie again.
The same principle applies to any subject. Now, look, here is a story about the state beauty contest with a picture of the winner. Now, how would you describe her?
Nice. Pretty, cute, muscular.
Now, listen to the words they use. Dazzling, bewitching, captivating.
I can't use any of them words, Mr. P.
Why not?
Can't spell them.
And this is just what you need, Mr. Krabs. Don't be afraid. In here you will find the right words, and you will find how to spell them. Now, I have to rush off to the print shop. After you finish writing your story, if your friend Mr. Gillis thinks it's good enough to run in the school paper, in it goes. And I will give you a passing mark, as I promised.
Mr. P? Mr. P? Mr. P?
Yes?
You are extremely raw and primitive and dazzling.
Mr. Krabs. Goodbye.
Next Friday, there'll be a very nice and interesting... Oh. Some of them wishy-washy words. Let's see, I better change nice and interesting to, yeah. Wild, unbridled, pleasure, mad, pagan revel. Yeah. Let's see. The demonstration will be put on by the nice, brainy Dr. Imogene... Nice, brainy? That's even more washy and wishier. Better change that to, The pleasure, mad revel will be put on by the dazzling, bewitching, captivating Dr. Imogene Burkhardt.
So the storm clouds were starting to gather. The disaster was starting to get disastrous. Now, one fella could have stopped all the trouble simply by not okaying Maynard's story. Who was that fella? Namely, me. And what was that fella doing? Pursuing his favorite pursuit, namely a girl. When Maynard shoved that story in front of me to sign, all I saw was blue eyes, golden hair, and the face of an angel. Not Maynard's. At a time like that, I would have signed a petition to redraft me and put me on permanent KP. Yep, I signed Maynard's story. And that makes me one of the great goof artists of the 20th century. I mean, I make Wrong Way Corrigan look like Mr. Wonderful. On account of me, Professor Pomfret reached a rather startling conclusion. Maynard had written a readable, printable, grammatical newspaper story.
Take your story and photograph over to the press room, Mr. Krabs. Tell him I said it was okay to run it in tomorrow's edition.
Don't you want to read it first? I mean, my little gem is beautiful.
No, that won't be necessary, Mr. Krabs. I trust Mr. Gillis's judgment. After all, I appointed him as assistant editor of the student paper, and I'm an excellent judge of character. I'm due at the gym in 5 minutes for the faculty volleyball game, and I never miss it. How do you think I keep the old stomach in shape?
Overeating? Oh, what a good day for that lovable newspaper man, Maynard G. Krebs, and for the school newspaper, and for that tantalizing, alluring, sultry, voluptuous Dr. Imogene Burkhardt, and for the whole S. Peter Pryor Junior College.
I may just burn down the entire S. Peter Pryor Junior College.
Herbert, you're jumping to conclusions.
Winnie, this is a conclusion I do not have to jump to. I can get there by crawling. Oh, I tell you, Winnie, that school is a hotbed of monkey business and carrying on.
Oh, slow down, Herbert. We don't know all the facts.
Facts, Max. Who needs facts? Listen to this. Mad, unrestrained revel, unharnessed savages, pleasure-mad students, and get a load of the picture of that teacher. No, I wonder what she teaches. Look at that in the topless, bottomless, backless, frontless. Here, look at it yourself.
Well, Herbert, even a teacher may go swimming.
Yeah, and even a teacher may take a bath, but you shouldn't have her picture taken doing it. Oh, and to think that our son, the son of Herbert T. Gillis with the Good Conduct Medal as a student at that fun house.
Herbert, where did you get this copy of the school newspaper?
I stole it out of Dobie's lunchbox. It was for his own good, oh, Winnie. Where is our poor boy right now?
Why, Herbert, you're going to make yourself sick if you carry on like that.
I got a right to carry on like this if they can carry on like that. Oh, our boy, our poor boy.
Now, Herbert, listen to me. Even if there is something bad going on at the college, I'm sure that Dobie has enough strength to resist it.
You think so?
Why, of course he takes after his father, doesn't he?
True.
We better get over there quick.
Mr. Gillis, have you read...
You bet we have, Mrs. Grindle.
It's a good thing I stole this paper from my daughter's purse, or I never would have known what those sneaky kids were up to. Well, it was for our own good. Oh, my poor baby. I knew some evil influence was working on her the way she's been acting lately.
Well, no offense, but it's your own fault if she's running around with the wrong crowd. Why, right this very minute, she may be out for all you know with some low-down character.
I wouldn't be surprised.
See?
She's with your son.
Well, our boy is one boy that you don't have to worry about. He has great inner strength and can resist temptation.
You bet he can.
I'll say he can.
Like heck he can.
Herbert, you can't just rush over to the college like a wild bull. We have to have a plan of action.
No, you're right, Winnie.
We'll march straight to the dean of the college and demand that he fire this Burkhart woman.
Right, and if he won't do it, we'll go over his head. We will go higher. We will go to the football coach. Right, and we got plenty of evidence here to get rid of her. Wild pagan rebel, too. See that Dr. Burkhart.
Herbert!
Oh, what I mean is, I want to see that Dr. Burkhart.
I want to see that Maynard G. Krebs.
Have no fear, Dr. Burkhart. You'll be given every chance to defend yourself against the serious charges brought against you.
Yes, but will Mr. Krebs be given every chance to defend himself against the serious shot on the head I'm going to give him?
Don't try to pass the buck, girlie.
Girlie? Mr. Gillis, I happen to be a Ph.D. with degrees in archaeology, anthropology, and geology from major universities all over the world.
But this doesn't stop you from monkeying around in your spare time, does it, girlie?
Oh, Dean Magruder, this is eminently unfair. I've been teaching in this college for 8 years. There's no reason why I should be on trial like this. You know what kind of work I do. Dean Magruder, our children are your responsibility. I consider it a gross neglect of duty that you've allowed this shocking revel to take place. It hasn't taken place yet.
But when it does, it will be a Lulu, huh, girl?
No, I only meant... Oh, Mr. Gillis, you just got me so angry and upset I feel like something the cat dragged in.
You rang?
Mr. Krebs, I would like a word with you.
Sure, Dr. B, I got lots of them. Which one do you want?
Oh, Mr. Krebs.
How about tantalizing or provocative? I got a pleasure man.
Mr. Krebs,
Yes, sir, Your Highness?
you are responsible for this article, are you not?
Yes, sir, I read every word of it.
And every word of it is a lie.
I never saw that story before in my life.
Maynard, tell us the truth. Did Dr. Burkhart say those things or didn't she?
I cannot tell a lie, ma'am. Yes, she did.
Now, wait a minute, Mr. Krebs. Dr. Burkhart said that she was going to have, and I quote, a raw, primitive, pagan revel?
Yes, sir, she did. Almost.
Aha! In other words, she did not say exactly these words. You admit that?
I do?
Oh, let's cut out all this polite sparring. Everybody knows Maynard's telling the truth. He's too stupid to lie.
This incident has already stirred up a good deal of unpleasantness, thanks to Mr. Krebs.
You're welcome.
Yes, the state director of education has phoned me 3 times. I received 24 resignations from the alumni associations, and dozens of irate parents have called me. No, yes, I've been asked to appear on What's My Line. So it's imperative we get to the bottom of this case. I have the perfect solution.
Nah, fire that alluring, bewitching troublemaker.
Oh, no, Mr. Gillis. I'm going to give her every chance to prove that she didn't plan the rebels that this article says.
Well, congratulations, Dean Magruder. It's about time Dr. Burkhart had a chance to speak for herself.
Not speak, Mr. Pomfret. Dance.
Dance?
Like dance?
Dance. Dr. Burkhardt, I want you to demonstrate the dance for us just as you intend to present it.
No.
Scared to gallivant around in front of the boss in those glorified BVDs, huh?
Mr. Gillis, shame on you.
This proves that she is guilty. Out she goes, Teeny. Out, out.
Dean Magruder, I stay or leave on my record as a teacher. My dancing has no bearing on this.
Here, here.
Where?
Professor Pomfret, I'd advise you to watch what you say. Since you allowed this article to be published in the first place, your position is rather shaky for the time being.
And since I wrote the article, I'm kind of shaky too, huh?
Yours is the shakiest, Mr. Krebs. True or not, this article reflects most unfortunately on the dignity of this college. And while we're at it, there's one more person who has contributed to this unfortunate situation.
Throw the bum out.
The assistant editor of the school paper, who officially okayed the story so it could be printed.
Throw the bum out.
Herbert.
Throw the bum out.
His name is Dobie Gillis.
Now, just a minute. Just a darn minute.
I'm not going to fight this anymore. If the administration of this college has so little confidence in its teachers that it refuses to take a firm stand on this issue, then it isn't the sort of college with which I care to be associated. I quit.
Well, if we teachers are going to have to shiver in our boots every time some neighborhood crackpot, no offense, Mr. Gillis, gets a cockeyed idea, then I quit too.
Me too.
Mr. Krebs, a student can't quit.
Then I flunk. It's more natural anyhow.
I'll second that.
I'll be back with the rest of my things tomorrow.
Dr. Burkhardt, excuse me. Is this the costume that you were planning to wear for the dance?
Yes, and my students were going to wear the same sort of thing.
Herbert, this is the shocking garment that you've been complaining about.
Well,
Why, that would cover a dozen dancing girls.
Probably even 10.
I really did expect something a little different.
And all they're going to do is shuffle around thusly.
Oh, Dr. Burkhardt, my husband owes you an apology, don't you, Herbert?
Oh, wait.
Don't you, Herbert?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I guess I was kind of miserable.
I'll buy that.
You should have thought for a moment before you started yelling and complaining.
Dr. Burkhardt, you were right. You've been a fine teacher, and that's all that counts, of course. So please stay here with us, huh?
Please, I'm getting pretty misty, Dr. B.
Very well, Dean. I'll stay. And what's more, you're all invited to my class on Friday. We're having a dance.
Thank you. Very nice.
Like Maynard was out of the woods. However, let me point out, that's what Little Red Riding Hood said. But the wolf had different ideas. You see, the decision had to be made on Dr. Burkhardt's wild, primitive, pagan dance.
This dance is called a heiau, our marriage ritual.
This is what I made all the fuss about.
Like true, my Aunt Walter does a racier dance than that.
I got such a big mouth.
Like true.
Don't agree so quick.
You know something, Mr. G? You look like disappointed.
Who asked you?
Mr. G?
What?
What's the matter?
You're right, Maynard. I'm disappointed.